Welcome back to R.M.Aviation. Apologies for not being around much and not posting. That is completely my fault. It's plainly my fault, as some would say. Today we're going to be discussing the Grand Canyon mid-air collision involving TWA Flight 2 and United Airlines Flight 718. So some background information to air travel in the 1956. In 1956, commercial aviation was in a dangerous transition period. Aircraft were flying higher and faster than ATC systems were designed to handle. Radar coverage was sparse, especially in western US. Air traffic control relied heavily on procedural separation, timing estimates, and position reports. Pilots often flew VFR, so visual flight rules, to high altitudes to avoid weather, give passengers scenic views, and gain more route flexibility. There was no unified national airspace system. Military and civilian traffic shared skies with minimal coordination. The aircraft and crews. So TWA 2 was a Lockheed L-1049A Super Constellation. The captain was James E. Miller, highly experienced. The cruising altitude was planned at 21,000 feet, and there was 58 passengers on board total. United Airlines Flight 718 aircraft was a DC-7. The captain was Robert Shirley, veteran pilot. Cruising altitude 21,000 feet, with about 70 people total on board. Both aircraft were state-of-the-art piston airliners, but had no TCAS collision avoidance, no cockpit radar display for traffic, and limited weather radar focused forward only. Air traffic control situations. ATC limitations. Los Angeles ARTCC could not see either aircraft on radar once they climbed eastward. Controllers relied on pilot position reports, estimated time over waypoints. ATC could not guarantee vertical separation once planes went VFR on top. Critical clearance. Both flights requested and were granted VFR on top clearance. This meant pilots were responsible for seeing and avoiding other aircraft. ATC no longer separated them. Planes could maneuver freely above the clouds. This clearance was routine but extremely dangerous at high altitude with fast aircraft. The events leading up to the collision. Some of these included weather. Thunderstorms and clouds built up on the southwest. Crews climb and above weather into clear air. Visibility was good, but the clouds could mask converging aircraft. Navigation choices. Both crew were likely deviating slightly from the assigned airways to avoid weather to give passengers the view of the Grand Canyon. These deviations brought them into the same airspace. Now on to the human factor. Closing speed was over 800 miles per hour combined. At that speed, pilots would have less than 30 seconds to see and react. Cockpit work was overloaded, and it was high. Visual scanning was inadequate, such as speeds and altitudes. The collision. The time was 10:31 a.m. MST on June 30th, 1956. The location was over the Grand Canyon at Temple Butte. The altitude was 21,000 feet. Impact details. The DC-7's left wing struck the TWA Constellation. Both aircraft broke apart instantly, entered uncontrollable descents, and scattered wreckage across rugged canyon terrain. There was no distress call. Search and recovery. The initial searches were delayed due to remote terrain, extreme heat, and lack of precise last known positions. Wreckage found later by air search crews. Recovery. Challenges. Some debris was located thousands of feet down canyon walls. Bodies had to be recovered using helicopters and rope teams. Some remains were never fully recovered. This is one of the most difficult crash recoveries ever attempted at the time. The investigation's findings, or the CAB, the Civil Aeronautics Board, included probable cause, the failure of the pilots to see and avoid each other while operating in VFR conditions. Contributing factors included inadequate ATC systems, lack of radar coverage, no positive control high altitude, over-reliance on pilot visual separation, and rapid growth on air traffic without infrastructure support. Importantly, no crew was blamed personally. The system itself was found to be unsafe. Why this accident changed everything. The single accident revolutionized aviation safety. The immediate changes included the end of routine high-altitude VFR passenger flights, accelerated installation of long-range radar. The long-term reforms included the 1958 Federal Aviation Act, creating the Federal Aviation Agency, later FAA, the establishment of a positive ATC control, en route radar coverage, and standardized airways. The foundation for TCAS, controlled airspace classes, and modern separation standards. Many experts say modern air traffic control was written in the blood of the Grand Canyon. Legacy. Still studied in aviation psychology and safety courses, a defining example of systemic failure, human limits at high speeds, the memorial exists near the Grand Canyon's rim. It remains one of the deadliest mid-air collisions and the most influential aviation accident in US history. Thank you for tuning in, and I apologize for not posting more often. I'm getting back into it, and you should see a lot of videos coming out one after the other from New Year's onwards, so stay tuned. Thank you.